The emergency department of a hospital in Chicago was filled with its usual chaos. On that rainy Thursday morning, Dr. Daniel Clark barely looked up when the new nurse joined the shift. Her short silver hair was neatly tied back, and her uniform hung a little loosely on her frame. She looked to be around 65 years old. In the staff lounge, Dr. Sarah Bennett quietly joked that administration must have started hiring just anyone. A few younger doctors laughed. The woman whose badge read Margaret Reed said nothing. She simply began her work with calm professionalism. Over the following weeks, the mocking continued. When Margaret took longer to learn the new digital system, someone rolled their eyes. When she asked for clarification about certain procedures, the residents smirked at each other. One day, Dr. Clark even remarked that she had probably come out of retirement because she was bored. What none of them knew was that Margaret Reed truly was retired, just not from ordinary medicine. She had once been a colonel in the U.S. Army Medical Corps. She had led field hospitals in Iraq and Afghanistan, performing surgeries while explosions shook the ground around her and making decisions that determined who would live and who would die. Everything changed on a cold November evening. The sound of ambulance sirens pierced the air as paramedics rushed a wounded man through the emergency room doors. Blood poured from the tactical vest strapped to his body. "Captain Lucas Gray, Special Operations," one of the paramedics shouted. "Explosion during a training exercise." His condition was rapidly deteriorating. Internal bleeding, shrapnel wounds to the chest, blood pressure crashing. The trauma team immediately gathered around him, but when they saw the extent of his injuries, tension filled the room. That was when Margaret stepped into the doorway. She studied the patient for only a second before understanding what the others had not yet seen. Where the most dangerous bleeding was coming from, which organs were at risk of failing first, and how little time they had left. In a calm voice, she began giving orders. Dr. Bennett was about to snap at her, but she stopped the moment she met Margaret's eyes. There was something in them that demanded attention. The look of someone who had faced death countless times and refused to let it win. Captain Gray briefly opened his eyes. His vision was blurred with pain, but he noticed Margaret. And somehow, he recognized something familiar in her. With trembling effort, he raised his hand to his forehead. It was a salute. Slow, exhausted, but unmistakably military. The entire room fell silent. Margaret returned the salute with sharp precision before immediately continuing to direct the team. And this time, everyone listened. Under her leadership, the chaos transformed into coordinated action. Captain Gray was transferred into surgery in a record 11 minutes. Later, Dr. Clark found Margaret quietly organizing medical supplies in the storage room as if nothing extraordinary had happened. During the operation, he had looked into her background. Colonel Margaret Reed, recipient of 2 Bronze Stars and a Silver Star for Valor. More than 1,000 surgeries performed in combat zones. A woman who had trained military trauma surgeons across the country. 5 years earlier, she had lost her son, a special operations soldier, during a mission in Syria. This simple nursing position was her way of continuing to serve and honoring his memory. Dr. Clark tried to apologize. Margaret only smiled gently. "People find it easy to make assumptions," she said softly. "Understanding someone takes much more effort." Captain Gray survived. His recovery was long, but successful. Before leaving the hospital, he asked to see the nurse who had saved his life. When Margaret entered his room, he saluted her once again. "Thank you, Colonel, for bringing me home," he said quietly. Margaret squeezed his hand. "Just live your life in a way that makes this second chance matter." After that day, the atmosphere in the emergency department changed completely. The younger doctors no longer saw Margaret as just an elderly nurse. They began learning from her. Her calmness, her decisiveness, and her ability to stay focused in the worst moments imaginable. And finally, they understood something important. Real experience is not always loud. Sometimes it walks quietly among us, waiting for the moment it is truly needed.